Hello, my name is Kim and welcome to the Embroidered Elephant podcast. Today I'm going to be going through a project roundup from an earlier video and showing you what I've actually managed to do. It feels as though I only uploaded the video a month or so ago, but I'm pretty sure it was in January, February time. So let's have a look what I've been doing. If you did see my earlier video, you may or may not recognise this list of everything that I was going to make. I wrote a list as I went through. It was a lot of things, so I've got quite a lot to show you now. Since I saw you last time, I have been very busy both with sewing and in my personal life. I will probably be making a couple of new videos, but just to so this video isn't really long, I went to the Southern Stitch Fest I think it is. Maybe I should have worked that out before I started filming. I went to the Stitch Fest, which, if you don't know, it is in the Business Design Centre in London. It is beautiful. It's full of loads of wool, knitting supplies, crochet supplies, sewing supplies, loads and loads and loads of fabric, which again I will be showing you in a video. I was very spoiled. It was a Christmas present from my partner. And apart from that, as I said, I've been doing lots of sewing, so I'll show you a lot of what I've managed to do, both from my projects and projects that I didn't know I had at the time. I said that I wouldn't be adding a lot of projects, I'd just be focusing on what I should be doing, but that doesn't always happen. If you are a sewer, I hopefully understand, or a crocheter. So let me show you what I've been doing. I have got a messy desk, but hopefully this puts me in the frame and you can see what I'm doing as well. So just starting to go through my list of what I had. So I had some black or some dark grey coasters that I'd cut out. They were from a super dry jumper that when I went to the charity shop it had already shrunk. So I thought it would be a good idea to make some coasters with it. Very simple. I put it in the washing and it felted, but hopefully this makes sense. If sometimes when you felt things it goes very fuzzy and it gets a lot of lumps on it. I'm not sure of the word of it. It went all lumpy, so I had to dispose of it. I did look at using one of those fuzz removers, but it did not work, so that's that. In other news, I also made some of these coasters. So this again was made from a jumper. I believe that it might have been hand knitted when I initially got it, again at a charity shop. I made the mistake again of putting it in the washing machine on a higher heat than it was meant to, so it felted. So I decided to make some coasters out of it because it looked like the perfect material for autumn leaves. So I have made quite a lot of these. I think there's about 15. After I cut them, they're all the same shape. After I had cut them, again I put them on quite a high heat so that they felted, so that the new owners will not have to worry about fraying. So that's one project I completed. There were some project bags I went through. I'll go through all of those at the end because there's a lot of them. So a lot of project bags. I had some bunny fabric that I was making some projects for my partner's mum with, so I will insert some video here just because it's already been her birthday, so I've already sent them off. I made 2 pillows for her and I managed to make a bookmark as well out of the little bits at the side. So as I said, I'll put videos here. The next one was some face masks. So, lots of them. Sorry if I seem like I'm whizzing through these, but I'm aware that it's sort of a lot of the same. So this was the first one. And I lined this with a blue floral fabric. Very nice. And these are stretchy. So I have worn face masks previously where they're made of cotton, they cut just behind my ears. So these are the ones that you put flat against your face. That's one. So they were all quite easy to make. Then I've got these that again were quite straightforward to make. So these face masks I have tied at the ends. So these are the ones that are more fitted around your nose, but they don't have the metal in them. So they're quite safe to put in the washing machine, and they won't get sort of broken, more fitted. And the inside is some green zigzags. So the 20 masks I did finish. Yarn cozies I didn't finish. So I don't know if you can see just where I'm pointing here. I've got a stack of yarn cozies that need to be sewn. It's just because it is quite samey, and when I find inspiration with other bits of fabric, that always takes priority. It shouldn't, but it does. Again, I've got some tote bags which I will go through in a minute, and I think that that is it for the projects that I had written down. It's just the tote bags to go through, and then I will move on to any other projects that I have. So if you've watched my previous video, some of these might be completely new, as in I didn't have the fabric, I didn't have the designs, etc. when I did my first project run through. So some of these you may not recognise from the first video. that is fine because I have been buying some fabric and I have been sewing some bags. So the first one is this cat design. So this is just an unlined tote bag, but the sides have been done with a French seam, and I've just got my logo at the front. So the back is the same as the front. Some people like having a logo, some people don't. So I have made 3 of those. So they will be going up in my shop, not just yet. When I have the time to. When I make the time to, not when I have the time. These ones are some floral fabric. So this is more of a sort of canvas material. Don't know if you can hear that. I'm not sure what it's made of because this was scrap fabric. So I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but one thing that I love to do, and you'll see that with a lot of the other bags I've made, I buy a lot of fabric that is deemed as scrap or remnants. So usually that is from other makers. They finish their project, they don't know what to do with the fabric, so they sell it on. This fabric was from a company. They didn't want it. It was the end of a bolt, or it was, there was parts of it that were stained, or it just wasn't enough to sell. So I bought this fabric in sort of a job lot from the company. So that's why I don't necessarily know what it is made of. I don't know where it's come from. I like the challenge of recycling and reusing fabric from other people. So that is the story behind this bag and a lot of the bags I have. So this is quite a small tote bag, and again it's got French seams. So I don't have an overlocker, and I didn't want to line this bag because it makes it a bit bulky if you're folding it up and putting it in your bag. And the back is the same. Again, I had enough fabric to make 3 of those tote bags. So, sorry if you hear the rustling. That's I've got a little bag down here. Well, I've got a little basket of all the bags that I've made. So this is a bag. I think this was one that I just needed to put a logo on, but the logo is now on it. That's a bit of a bigger one. Again, it's got the seams are French seams. There's no raw edges. This again was made with some scrap fabric. I think this was from a person rather than a business though. So I've got a few of those. This tote bag is finished. Again, I'm not sure whether that needed to be sewn or whether that just needed the logo, but either way it's finished. We have got this bag, which is quite a big tote bag. I added handles to it, so this is cotton, what's it called, twill. Again, was scrap fabric from a person. And I've added handles to this one and a logo. This was scrap from a person. Again, I think a lot of these tote bags I just needed to add handles, but it might have been that I just needed to add the logo. now we are on to the drawstring bags, and again I'm going to fly through these because I'm aware if you've seen the first video it's a lot of the same. Hopefully that makes sense. And there are quite a lot of them as well. Have had to readjust because it is really warm in here. I think it's because I'm talking too much. So I didn't count those. I might go through when I'm editing, I might count them and see how many I've made. Quite a lot. So they will all be going online on my Etsy shop over the next couple of weeks, just when I get my bum into gear. And the other ones that I didn't show you yet. So again, you may remember these if you saw the initial pictures. So these again was scrap fabric from, I want to say it was Company, but I'm not entirely sure. So it's got long haired sheep on it. And when I saw that it came with tartan material as well, I wasn't sure how I was going to make it into a bag, but I knew that it had to be one. So I made 2 of these. So again, this is stretchy drawstring, which I might change, to be honest. And you can use it as project bag like so. And there is 2 of those, or there are 2 of those. So one project that I didn't have on my list was a wrap skirt. So one or some of my crafting goals for this year were to make a wrap dress and to make more or sew more garments for myself. So I bought a pattern. I will have to find the pattern. And I made a wrap dress. It did take longer than I thought it would, but that was mainly because I found the pattern quite confusing. So there were steps that it put in there that didn't really make sense, or they weren't logical. Mainly probably because I don't tend to use patterns, so I would more go in logical steps than maybe the right steps. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, so this is the part that wraps around, and this is where there is a little hole, so I just made a buttonhole so that this can go in and out. This project, as I said, it took a bit longer than I thought it would, mainly because of the steps in there. Some of them didn't make sense. But it was a really easy project to make. If I were to make it again though, I would make it in cotton material, because this is quite stiff, so it comes out rather than falling. I feel as though it would be more flattering if it fell rather than... and I have washed this fabric, so it's not because it's new that it doesn't fall properly. Actually, this is the pattern. So it's New Look, pattern 6456, and it's easy. I made it in a size 14 or 16. So let me see if I can find the part that doesn't quite make sense. I think maybe it skips a step or something like that. So it was the front and the back. I think it didn't differentiate between which bit was the front bit, which bit was the back bit, because at one point it tells you to sew them together, but it doesn't tell you which bits need to be sewn where. So that took me a bit longer to work out what was going where when than I would say if I were doing a different project. The last projects that I made as well are these 2 cushions. So this was the project that I had started when I was around 9 or 10 years old. Sorry if you can hear that aeroplane as well. And I finished it. It was really difficult, and you can see that it's not perfect here. I found it quite difficult to get my sewing machine foot close enough to the edge of the beads, just because the beads were quite thick. So it is by no means perfect. Nowadays I wouldn't choose this material just because it's quite slippery. So I wanted to initially use it to sit on and for my craft room, but because it's quite slippery I feel myself slipping down the chair, which is not ideal. So I made 2 of these. I finished the top. As I said, they're in no means perfect, but they're finished. As a lot of people say, finished is better than perfect, so this was the second one. So yeah, they're just in my craft room at the moment, and they were another finished project. The other project I did make, and I was supposed to tell you about quite a while ago, I was lucky enough to test a pattern for the lovely Sweet Cinnamon Roses. So I have made quite a lot of her bags. So the one I mentioned earlier, the wee bra bag, that is one that I've made previously. So this isn't the official copy, this is the draft copy, so I won't go through sort of how to make it, but this is the Kinchaku bag. So there's two different versions. The first one I made was this patchwork version, and I made the small version. So this was really easy to make. I think the main issue I had was picking fabric, deciding which fabric would be best to use. And if you can't tell, I've got all of my little clips in here. So the inside is, I'll show you the design. And the part I love about it is this little, the way that it's finished at the bottom. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but this is not attached. So this is open and this is open. So that's obviously not practical. It's not there for a practical reason. It's there for the design of it. So that was one version I made, and I also made the ABCD Kinchaku bag. I'm just seeing if I can find a finished picture of it without showing you all of the instructions. No, so in the draft she didn't send a finished picture. You can see the design of it here, so I'll stop flicking through because that's probably a really annoying noise. So again, you've got the bottom. It's a boxed bottom. Again, you've got the design here, which is really cool. And the ABCD refers to the different patches. So this would be A, this would be B, and it mirrors on the back. So this floral fabric here, again, it was from a sewer who didn't want it. It was the scraps. This was new. Well, it was unused, but it was second-hand fabric. And these were both new. So this was second-hand, and this would be the C and the D. So it's the A, B, C, D. So the inside of my other bag is a similar design, but with matching fabric. Overall, making the bag, I really enjoyed it. As I said, I use a lot of the patterns from Sweet Cinnamon Roses, and I just love the way she makes the patterns. She has a lot of pictures for every step, and she writes it very simply as well. So I would recommend doing it. There were a couple of teething issues, but that was more so because it was a draft pattern and not because there were any issues. I'm not sure about you guys, but when I am at work or when I'm reading a pattern over and over and over again, you get a bit blinded to it. You can't spot the maybe minor issues. So yeah, she's lovely as well. It's Laura. She's lovely. I've spoken to her quite a few times. So yeah, those were a pattern I tested and one that I would really recommend. And the last one that I've got is a whip project, so work in progress. So at the moment it is just in about 20 bits, so you probably won't be able to see much of what I'm talking about, but hopefully you can envision it. So this is the fabric that I got, and this was, I bought this first hand from a company. So I am making a keyboard cover for my sister. So she has got a keyboard, and she's taken all of the measurements, she sent them all to me, and now I just need to make a cover for her. So the cover, again, hopefully you can envision this, just a normal keyboard cover. At the front there will be a pocket, and that will be for the, is it called the note stand? So at the back, usually at a piano or a keyboard, you have a stand where you can put your paper patterns, not patterns, notes. So that can be removed. That is going to go in a pocket at the front. The main issue that I do have, however, is can you tell I don't usually use specific instructions? I usually work with the fabric that I've got and make something that fits, hence all the sort of patchwork designs, the bags that are very different sizes, etc. I measured the top part of the design wrong. So I cut it to 60 centimetres. It was meant to be 80, 85, something like that. Bigger than 60 anyway. So I ended up with all of the pattern pieces that were 20 centimetres too small. So I had to re-cut out all of the fabric pieces in bits that did fit. So one thing I will need to do is, I was very specific that when my sister hasn't told me any of this, so this is all of me. I was very specific that I wanted all the animals and the fabric to have faced the right way, so they are all looking the right way. What I may have to do is the top part of the cover, I may have to do it so that the animals are all sort of facing one way. So rather than being, so as you're looking at the keyboard cover, rather than being like that, they may have to be lopsided. But I am hopefully going to do it so that they all face her, so when she walks in her door they will technically be facing her. I can either do it like that, or I can do just a plain black top to the keyboard cover, which seems a little bit boring. I would love your opinion if you have one, whether I should do it plain black or have all the animals facing the wrong way. I mean, it won't be on there all the time, it will just be when she's not using it, and hopefully that doesn't bother her. I know it would really bother a few people. So that's my sewing work in progress. Apart from that, I have got quite a lot of, not sure if you can hear that. Apart from that, I still have got quite a lot of project bags that I've cut out and that I need to finish. What is preventing me from finishing them is that I haven't got enough, or I didn't have enough lining for quite a while. So I've got a lot of, not lining, I've got a lot of backing fabric now, which is, some people call it stiffener. So it's just this. So you iron it interfacing, it's iron on interfacing. So you iron this to the back of your fabric and it just gives it a little bit more structure. So I'll give you an example. So rather than having a bag that collapses, you'll have one that has a bit more structure, so it can stand up. That was a really bad example. So rather than having one that falls or just collapses, you have one that stands up. So a lot of the bags I have at the moment, I have sewn them. I have cut them out and I have sewn them, such as this, and I just need to cut the interfacing out and iron it on, and then I can again start to make the rest of the bags, which are all ready. So a lot of Star Wars ones, yeah, a lot of beautiful fabric, if I do say so myself. So those are all of my sewing plans. So thank you very much for watching this video. Just a bit of an update about what I have been doing since my first sort of whip roundup. Works in progress, if you didn't know. Hopefully this video has been quite interesting. It hasn't been too long. I will definitely make a video with some updates soon about any other sewing projects that I have completed. And apart from that, I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are and whatever time it is, and I will see you next time. take care. Bye. Yeah, I think that was the bit. Yeah, so that's the finished project, which I'm happy with, and that marks one finished project for myself. It's quite nice. Needs a sew, needs an iron even. But yeah, that's been sat in my drawer. I think I wore it once and it's been sat in my drawer since because I needed to keep it ready to show everyone. One of